Welcome to OFX podcast, and I'm one of your hosts, Dave Claxton, and I'm along here with Spartan Pro. We think it's January, so we don't know for sure
Hopefully,
yet. We'll
yeah.
see. Bethany McChesney, and this is our first podcast. And what we're going to do in the first podcast is review 2020, which is kind of odd because we didn't do any podcasts about 2020 until it's over, which is probably pretty good. So Bethany, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. And you're ready. We'll just dive right in. And rather than be too negative about 2020, because that was really easy to do,
Hmm.
let's hit with some good things.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me some of your highlights from 2020, stuff that you hit that was good.
Yeah, when I look back at 2020, it was a really unique year, but I don't look at it as all bad. I think it gave people an opportunity to just kind of slow down a little bit and evaluate um, things that they really loved doing and what they could take out, what they could do without. And I think when people aren't always running off to races every other weekend, it gives you an opportunity also to do different things and to explore other interests. So yeah, I think slowing down a little bit and just simplifying your life is never a bad thing, and it did force people to do that. And I don't downplay 2020 for, I know people lost businesses and everything else, but I think if you're looking at some of the positives of what happened, even for me, I think just that slowdown was really good.
Well, I mean, I saw you firsthand. I saw you take place in a mountain bike race. So I mean, when you're
Yeah.
talking about shifting gears, right, doing something different, and I mean, so that was one thing that came out of it. You guys were doing mountain bike races. I mean, I got to drink beer and watch, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I never would have done an 8-hour mountain bike race if it was July or August in the middle of a Spartan season. I never would have done that.
No, so the one thing 2020, and I think it will always be famous for as far as competitions go, is it was the rise of the virtual races, virtual
Yeah.
competitions. I had actually done one I think it was back in 2017 was the first one I did with X Warrior, a race brand out of Alberta, and it was actually pretty good. Back then, it was just a simple run of 5K, do some extra exercises, post a video. It was not competitive, was more of a challenge.
Mhm.
Um, but this year was all over. I think OCR kind of took from CrossFit, where they do the virtual opens and have done that in the past, and
Right.
tried to morph it into OCR
Yeah.
with varying degrees of success.
Yeah, and
But
you did see the progression of the virtual things throughout the year. A lot of companies started and they were putting out there for free and just asking people to tag things on Instagram, and you'd get publicity or whatever. And then it kind of morphed into its own thing and it became a lot bigger, and prize money and everything was coming out a lot more.
and I think for the most part, they became more refined. They became better to a certain extent. There was some sloppiness here and there, but one of the things, I mean, the year started out with some of the first virtual ones I saw. And this actually makes us starting down at the bottom of the barrel, in my opinion, was like the Spartan virtual death race.
Oh, the 24-hour one?
Yeah. Did you actually
Yeah.
get to watch any of
Oh,
that or see any of it?
I did watch a little bit of it, but no, that was weird. Yeah, they had to eat things, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think like that was it. Like I kind of tuned out when they were like eating a raw onion, and it was like, all right, you know what, this is enough. And
Yeah.
it, I never have had. It was the dumbest thing I had seen as far as any kind of virtual challenge. But I'm not a fan of the death race anyway. Anyway, all that arbitrary. Nope, you're out for some insane reason. I don't know. You're wearing the wrong color pants. It,
Yeah.
it's just it was bad. It was bad. But I mean, on the same side, Spartan had other virtual races, like they had sprints and supers and stuff like that. And did you happen to take part in any of those or?
I didn't. I guess when races stopped happening, I just switched my training to a non-race focus. So I didn't really want to gear up for any virtual races. Um, I guess the only one was the showdown that you did with Tom.
Yes, and oh, you see, you bring that up because you won, right? Like that's typical. I
Ah.
the only one that was any good was the one that I won. So yeah, that was great. That was through Obstacle Sports Canada, and so it was a little different than a virtual race because it was
Yeah, it
real
was.
time. You were competing against girls from across the country, but in real time at the
At the
same time
same
doing the
time.
same workout. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun, and you guys did really well. That was some great athletes. So that was great. The back to the Spartan ones, the other ones that pissed me off
Mm-hmm.
was when they did those ones, they would have like a 5K and or sprint, a 10K for the super, and then a bunch of exercises along the way, and people would be posting outlandish times that couldn't possibly
Yeah.
be hit.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the thing is, like, I've been through this many times before. If you're going to have a virtual race, decide what it's going to be. It's going to be a challenge and it's fun and the scores don't matter, or it's going to be competitive, which means you really got to judge it. You really got to be on it, and you have to make sure that it's legit. And they were kind of,
Was there prizes?
I think there actually was some prizes. I don't know
Oh.
how bad they were, but even still, I mean, made the joke before on my Instagram one time about congratulating Ryan Atkins about coming 2,244th on the Beast.
Oh.
Because well, he had posted a real time, and nobody else was doing that. So
Oh.
Spartan in the virtual races for me got a very low grade for their virtual races, except for one thing, and lots of what's credit to it to Yancey Culp, the virtual Decafit.
Oh,
They
okay.
did. It wasn't super well. I don't want to say attended, obviously, but they did a really good job presenting the workouts, judging the workouts, and making sure everybody was legitimate. I can't tell you how many people I saw in that would submit a score and would not have their scores verified because something was wrong with their video or they didn't do good reps or whatever the case may be. So it was a smaller competition, but they did it right, and a great job by Yancey, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but the other
Yeah,
Decafit guy.
that's what you need. You need the proper judging.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the Spartan ones. They were pretty on the low side. We'll save High Rocks for after. Force 5. I don't think you got a chance to do the Force 5 one.
I didn't do the Force 5 one though.
I will say that I think, as far as a whole, Force 5 did the best job of any virtual race all year.
Mm-hmm.
They had, I can't remember exactly how many events it was, but I believe it was over 3 weeks. You would have 1 or 2 events a week. Their judging was great. Everything was done really well. The challenges or tasks were put out very creative with household items. I
Yeah.
they had a great mix. They had some running and they had some strange workouts. They had awesome. So Force 5, I mean, I've said it before, they did great. It's all about that. Now
Mm-hmm.
you participated in one of the High Rocks ones.
Yeah, I did the body weight one because I didn't have a rowing machine.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And how'd that go?
Well, I ended up not finishing it, but I probably just should have finished it anyways. But the body weight ones were just basically 20 minutes of I was a ton of burpees really. And it was really they were great workouts, but with that one I just found they would judge it after the time you could submit it. So if I did something really slight that was wrong in one of my movements, let's say all 140 of my burpees,
Like not clapping
and
your hands above your head?
yeah, so my fingers had to touch, which is different. We're so used to Spartan. I just saw burpees and I did them how we do in Spartan. Hands cross the line of my head, but my fingertips had to touch. So that little difference over my head cost me some odd 200 points in that one. So I was like, okay, that bumped me from like third to 80th. And then the next one was something similar where it was the angle of my video just made it look like I was doing this movement incorrectly, where my foot wasn't going far enough. And the same thing, I was judged after I could submit, so I couldn't even redo the video. So now I'm in like 100th place, and it was just one of those things where I was like, these workouts are just they didn't excite me because it was just I was just in the body weight one and it was so much burpees. So I kind of let it go. But yeah, the biggest fault I think with that one was just the judging. If they had just clicked, because what I liked with their online system was you could see the videos of everybody. So if you clicked on a video and watched it for 10 seconds, you could see that I was doing my burpees wrong and I would have redone it right away. But once they judge it after the submission time, you're kind of out anyway. So that was my frustration with that one, I guess.
Well, I think you're just sour grapes because I did fantastic. So it was done perfectly. I mean, it was awesome. There was nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Actually, no,
Yeah.
I totally outside of the biggest problem I had with the Hyrox one, best presentation going, like you said, with that website where you could click on other people's videos. The
Yeah.
workouts, when they gave you the workouts themselves, the videos they submitted for us to watch to get the workouts, they were really professionally done, like everything Hyrox does.
Yeah.
Really well presented.
Well, and some of my issues, some of the problems I had were on me. I should have read the fine print about my fingertips touching with the burpees. So some of that is my fault for not reading all the rules properly.
Well, I have learned in my time in OCR that all of you damn Spartan pros don't read the rules. You can't. You have to have it explained for you completely. But the Hyrox did have one issue with that one. And the reason I said Force Fives was better than theirs is because Hyrox seemed to judge the top 5, and then nobody down below there. And then what would happen would be sometimes someone on the top 5 would drop down, and the new person replaced would not be judged.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they should have. And I know in particular in my age group, and it meant nothing to me. The guy in 3rd place should never have been there because he got bumped in and he had a bunch of reps that were bad. And I'm sure he didn't even know. He wasn't cheating. He wasn't doing anything wrong. His squats sucked and he probably didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
So that was the problem I had with Hyrox. Otherwise, they did really well. But might as well stick with Hyrox. They did do some really good stuff beyond that, where they did the live stream championship of the virtual series, and they did a good job on that. That was when we were dying for content. That was fun to watch. And
usually I wouldn't be excited to watch people run on a treadmill. But it was great.
Yeah. So because the one I was talking about was the one before when they did the home series finisher. But we might as well go for it because
I didn't watch that one.
That one, it was good. It wasn't as slick as the one we're going to talk about in a sec, but it was good, and they were great athletes, and it was good to see them go head to head live on real time. So it was good.
That's cool.
Hyrox did a good job on that. And so let's dive into it. The Hyrox, I guess this is officially the Invitational World Championship for 2020.
Yeah, it was an invitational, right? They didn't necessarily have to qualify from an event.
No, they were invitational. So what were your thoughts on that? I mean, dive into it.
Well, I loved it. I'm always kind of curious about their decisions with who they invite. I think for the most part, totally made sense. Obviously, the wild cards. I mean, I think on the women's side, Sam Briggs, obviously that made sense. I wasn't so sure about the wild card on the men's side. I think there could have been a lot of other people, even someone like Ryan Atkins, who is more of a functional fitness athlete. Like the only thing about the guy who was invited on the men's side was that he squatted 500 pounds and ran under a 5-minute mile on the same day. I didn't really, and he went to regionals and CrossFit Games. So, but I don't know. Other than that, I thought that was fantastic how they did it for an event that had to be in a small space that's normally done in a big open, like a huge space, and they did just like such a great job. The only thing in the running part, I thought it would have been cool if you could see how far and how fast each person was running, because you're just kind of waiting to see who jumps off the treadmill, and so you don't really know if someone's catching someone or not. So, but other than that, it was a super exciting event to watch.
Yeah, you're bang on the money. The Adam Klink, I believe, was the name of the guy that was
invited. You're right.
And I mean, obviously, super fit dude, super high level athlete, but maybe this wasn't quite his jam, right?
Yeah, and I think that kind of showed when he actually did it.
Yeah, and maybe that in a way is kind of Hyrox's purpose, right? They're saying, hey, like, look, this guy's amazing, and he's not able to keep up.
That's true. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I would love, like, on the screens they had the heart rates, which was kind of cool, but definitely even if they were counting down like 100-meter increments on the treadmill, even if the judges were maybe counting down 10, 9,
yeah,
and, like
that.
Like
when they did the wall balls and you could see the reps going
on the tablet.
Yeah, so you could have maybe done the same thing.
Yeah, just every 100-meter increment.
Yeah.
Well, that actually is a simple, and I never thought of that. That's a simple and slick solution. That would have been a good idea. Obviously, they were already there with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there you go. High Rocks, we solved your problems. You're welcome.
But normally High Rocks isn't on a treadmill, right?
No, but you know what? For the purposes of the video of the one, kind of streaming event, I know it wasn't live stream, but it was kind of supposed to be done in real time, but it was edited and whatnot. I think really they opened it up. If you did invitationals like that, that enclosed situation makes it easy to video and easy to film. It was a great little setup.
Yeah, and you could do it in smaller spaces because
Yeah.
that's the thing with High Rocks is it's done in the off season typically, so winter,
Mhm.
and you have to have an indoor space. And the indoor space that you need to do 500-meter loops because they're running a kilometer, two loops that's a pretty big space. So you're really limiting yourself.
Well, and that's why you get into trouble with the people doing too many laps or not enough laps, losing track of where they're at,
Yeah,
and
which is
I've
remarkably easy to do.
yeah. Well, I mean, you've done a High Rocks, right? Did
Yeah,
did you lose track of your laps?
every time. So
Two is really hard to count to.
do it. Well, because you're also counting to 8 at the same time. So,
Yeah.
but they had a counter, they had a board. So as I came around, you could see whether you're on lap 1 or 2.
See, that would have been good for me because I'm slow enough that I would have had time to read that board.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked the setup, and one thing I never Deca or High Rocks, both you people have missed the boat on it. Why it's not 400-meter laps or whatever, I don't understand. Could have been in any standard stadium, anywhere there's a regulation track. Ugh, it blows my mind that nobody caught on to that.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, so we went through, and then like I said, High Rocks again. They did a good job. They were great. Other virtual events that were up, Tough Mudder. So I don't believe you took part in any Tough Mudder events.
Never.
But they had two big ones. They had
Yeah.
challenges galore, and the challenges are great for people who want to do them. Here's a challenge: get this many miles, get this much elevation. Here's a medal,
Yeah.
whatever. Those are great, and they're good for the community. And then Tough Mudder community soaks that crap up. They love it.
Yeah.
And but they did have two competitive events. They had the 12-hour toughest, and then they did do a virtual 24-hour world's toughest. Now, I didn't compete in either one, but I pit crewed for people on both. I was lucky enough to be out at Joe Perry's farm to help out with some people there. And normally, if I was looking from afar, I would have criticized Tough Mudder, as I many times have, for being a little bit pregnant, and where it was a competition, but it was full of these kind of crazy, weird, foolhardy little games that you'd play in between laps that people could cheat on as much as they want or do whatever. And it was not really stringent about judging or anything like that. But because it's Tough Mudder, they can do that. They can get away with it, and their community is fine with it. They're like, yeah, cool, we're good. Nobody's, there, you don't hear anyone complaining about anyone cheating because it's just that different atmosphere.
Yeah.
So it worked. I know some people who ended up doing these virtual challenges or virtual events on their own, maybe were a little bored or whatever, but if you had like a small group, they were a lot of fun. And there was some very interesting people. Like there was one girl in England who did the entire 24 hours in her hallway in her apartment.
Wow.
So she did 50 miles in her apartment, back and forth down like an 8-foot hallway. They had her on
That's
the
just a
screen.
mental challenge there.
Well, apparently her story, she had planned to do it. She had got a treadmill because you were allowed to do it on a treadmill. So she borrowed a treadmill from a friend, got it in the apartment, was ready to go, and the treadmill broke.
Oh,
So she's like, "Well, I'm already committed, so I'm just going to walk up and down the hallway all night long."
wow. That's remarkable,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. I can't believe, like you say, the mental strength it would take to do that,
Yeah.
especially walking by your bedroom every time, seeing your bed for
Yeah.
24 hours.
And it's not like anyone's there, like, keep going.
No,
It's just you. You could just quit anytime.
yeah.
But
So
once you've done that, your perspective of what's mentally difficult thrown out the window.
absolutely. Another one we missed there, a quickly one, was Savage Anywhere. And again, Savage Anywhere was not competitive, was more challenges. What they did that I really thought was kind of cool was they got higher end athletes to put together workouts and challenges for their community to do. And it worked really well. And pretty much everything Savage does goes well.
Yeah.
They just
They do
seem
a
to
good job.
know how to do it. If they ever go under, they need to scoop everybody out of that company and bring them to the bigger company. Set them straight. Now, there was actually a couple of live events that went off. Where we were for, I don't know how it happened. Nobody else in the country seemed to be able to pull it off, but Course Extreme managed to put on 4 or 5 events.
Oh, that many.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was
Oh, because
four.
they had some test runs before the competitive one.
Yeah, exactly, and after as well. So I think they
Right.
did 4. They were going to have a 5th on Halloween, and then that one was the one that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now we both went to a Course Extreme,
Yeah.
and I mean, I personally, I thought, considering the situation, I couldn't believe how well they did.
Yeah. It was such a great race too. So when I had talked to the event organizer and I was asking him how he made it work, there's a loophole in something with the COVID laws where if you own the space, you can do with it. He was able to hold it because they own the property and they're not renting it for an event. Um, so that's how they got around all the rules, I guess.
And I mean, they did do social distancing on the starts, and they, encouraged mask wearing throughout the venue. So I mean, they tried. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it felt very much like a regular race to me. Once we got there and got going, I wasn't thinking about COVID at all. I was thinking about, this is a pretty cool venue.
Yeah, and the venue was fantastic. One of my favorite venues I've been to. It wasn't on a mountain, but it still had enough technical running and vertical and but
I didn't like that technical running.
yeah, lots of bushwhacking actually, carrying a tire,
Yeah, 3 kilometers of carrying a tire through mulch and
bushes.
wasn't my
Yeah.
favorite. I don't mind heavy carries, but I'm not great at technical running. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, then you know what I think, if anything comes from and this might be one of again those great positives that comes out of 2020 is Course Extreme. I don't know about you, but I had never heard of it before
Nope.
2020.
No, I hadn't. No.
And I think as far as the obstacle course landscape goes from 2021 on, it is going to be a mainstay with
Hmm.
dead end race moving in there. Platinum Rig's going to hold their 24-hour event there, plus the regular
Yeah.
Course Extreme events are going to be there. It might
And
become like,
because they own that space too, they're able to build things into the landscape that is super unique.
yeah, yeah. And I think they'll have they're teaming up with everyone, which you're going to have this
The
center of the universe
superpower.
in Canada of like in Quebec of all these great companies working together. You're going to have
Yeah.
Platinum Rig and Force 5 obstacles all on the same venue.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be great next year. I can't wait to go back.
So yeah, Course Extreme, yay, we love you.
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. Now, one more virtual event, and I know you were part of this one too, was OCR Stars. And
Yep.
I'll toot your own horn here, so you don't have to. Third place for the elite or pro women or whatever the case may be. Congratulations, you did awesome. Have you got your check yet?
Yeah. Yeah, they paid me.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Well done, Hunter.
Yeah. It was I think I got it on like Boxing Day. It was like Merry Christmas.
It would have been nice, like the 23rd, to help with Christmas shopping.
Yeah, I know.
But still, pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
It was
not bad.
great. You know what? It's faster than I got paid from some Spartan races.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I say. I mean, I was a little worried because I hadn't heard anyone talking about whether they got their payouts or not. So, and I guess I had never asked you until just now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it. That's good because I mean,
It was
what's
decent
your?
prize money.
Yeah, he was great prize money, and he promised when he set it up that there'd be good prize money, and he delivered.
Yeah.
And that's good because there was a lot of other things in there that I thought fell short. I mean, so I mean, I'll let you go through it first and just talk about your experience from it, and then I'll tear it apart.
Yeah, I get in some ways I have bias because I did well. But it was also frustrating because and this is what you'll get into as well, but just the rule changes and stuff that happened. I found for an event, I had to obsess over the rules because there was so much that was changing, and I never spent so much time in my life reading a rule book and fault watching videos over and over and over again because there was always changes that were happening. Um, So, and then like there's always issues with virtual events, and one of the hard things too is, like you said, now we're relying on people's honesty, and we're relying on technology.
Mhm.
And so when there's ways to manipulate technology, sometimes there's skepticism about everything too. And you had to use Strava for 2 events, which is half of the total virtual competition itself. And Strava is not always, same with GPS watches, there's inaccuracies. So that kind of makes you a little bit nervous about people's performances. But I do think, like, in the end, you're you can only fabricate so much. So I mean, you can only work the system in your favor so much. Like, you don't go from being a 40-minute runner and your Strava says it was 32 for 10K. So it's not that
Well, maybe
extreme, but
you don't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but I don't think in the end, like, the people that won weren't the people that deserved to win. There's just those little things that kind of irk you. But the gym things were hard in that there was really specific equipment that you needed, and I own a gym and I had to pick up some things. So that would have been hard if you had no connections with a gym. You had to.
Yeah, well, I mean, from our perspective, so I mean, you own a gym and are at the higher end of the spectrum for the athletes, whereas myself, I'm competitive, but I'm down at the other end of it.
Mhm.
Um, the same thing, like I didn't have the gear. I came to your gym to do the workouts. Thank you very much. We needed the space. Um,
Yeah.
but like you said, at the top end, I agree. The people who won deserve to win. Like there's no problem there. And again, much like High Rocks, I think what OCR Stars did was judge maybe the top 5, maybe the top
Right.
10. And I know they judged the top 5 in each event through each age group, because I actually got docked 2 reps on the Burpee Mountain. I had a clock issue. You remember where I didn't set the
Yeah.
clock right, and the timing was off, so 2 of my reps didn't count because the clock had actually run out, even though we didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So it was perfectly fair and legit, and they did the right thing to dock me the reps. But that was because I was 5th place in that event for my age group.
Mhm.
So nobody, I think, beyond that got judged, and that's where we run into problems. Is yes, it's most important to get the top players right. But
Mhm.
those of us fighting at the back, we want every place we can get. We're putting everything in there we can. And there needs to be a better system for that, for those judge. And that is what it is. They had said that was going to be the judging system at the beginning, and obviously others use it. It is what it is. The biggest issue I had was the communication.
Yeah.
And the point of, like you say, rules were continuously changing and on the fly. And sometimes you'd get a notice that the rule was changed over here, then it was changed over here, and you were searching to try to figure out the rules. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, like you said, I remember you getting ready to do the Burpee Mountain and me actually bringing over the phone going, okay, this is what the rule says right now.
Right.
This is what we
Yeah.
need to do. So that was bad. And then that, again, still not the worst part. The worst part was the rudeness of the way they
Yes.
treated the customers with problems. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying anything bad about Hunter. I'm not even going to say anything bad about his staff that worked for him, other than that was some piss poor customer relations. And if you guys do it again, I hope it doesn't bite you in the ass, because you know
Yeah.
I think they had the best of intentions, and then maybe it was more than they thought it would be to handle.
Yeah, I felt like because of all the rule changes, there were so many people submitting questions and questions, and I'm sure it got overwhelming,
Mhm.
but I did have a lot of conversations with a lot of different athletes from all across North America, and some had some really nasty things communicated with them from the staff, so they're pretty upset about it too.
Yeah, I mean, I myself had a little chat with the head judge on Instagram, and the whole time I'm just like, dude, I'm not trying to troll you. I'm not trying to be a
You
jerk.
just want
I just want a
answers.
straight answer.
Yeah,
And my responses were often, check the rule book. And I'm like, the rule book is saying the opposite of what you're saying now.
right.
So just tell me which one it is. I'm all good. I'm happy. And let me know.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and they didn't, but it is what it is. So
Yeah.
pluses, good workouts. Good workouts, mistitled. I don't think this was OCR stars. This was more CrossFit light,
Yeah.
task racing, compromise. No, not even compromise running, because the running and the events are
They were
separate.
separate, yeah.
It was marketed wrong, uh, but it was good. Like, I enjoyed it. It was just marketed wrong, and the logo.
Yeah. I can, yeah, I guess I see, I guess when you're looking at an OCR athlete, most of us aren't in the gym. There was certain movements in the gym workouts that were so specific to CrossFit that OCR athletes aren't, and the workouts themselves that were prescribed, like gripper, chipper, if that toes to bar was everything with that workout.
Yeah.
And so if that's with CrossFit, that's a movement they practice that they're so efficient at. I was figuring it out. I can do a toes to bar, but the way CrossFit athletes do it, it's a million times more efficient. So I was figuring this out in the 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I did okay, but it's just a lot of OCR, really good OCR athletes just floundered on it because it's not that their fitness lacked or their grip lacked, even though it was supposed to be the grip workout.
Mhm.
It was just a very specific movement that ultimately determined the outcome of that entire workout.
Yeah, it was very skill based, and I agree. That workout totally. I don't want to say reeked of CrossFit, but seemed more CrossFit orientated. The burpee mountain, I thought, was on target as far
That's
as those.
fine, yeah.
I mean, very much simulating burpees, as much as we hate them, as rooted in OCR, as well as the weighted step overs. I mean, heavy carries up the mountains. I mean, that was on point.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a great workout.
and the 6 mile run, yeah, that's good. 1 mile run, you can argue, might have been a little off center, but at the same time,
Yeah, because you're getting on a track too.
yeah, but at the same
Well,
time, it was exciting. It was fun. I mean,
well, I haven't run a flat out mile in a long time. It was kind of exciting to me,
yeah.
but
But again, that goes back to what you were saying about difficulty with equipment. I mean, equipment being the track. You needed a track to do this workout, because if you at all wanted to compete, you needed to videotape 4 laps around the track, not even use your Strava, which I think is smart, because
yeah.
then everybody's good. I thought that was a great decision.
No, they did let people use their Strava for the mile.
I thought if you were like in the top so many, you weren't supposed to, though.
No, you did, because remember Lanny won it and she did it on the roads.
Oh, well, rat you out, Lanny.
She's probably got her money. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. So, but yeah, and then specific dumbbells. Right now in COVID times, dumbbells are worth slightly more than gold.
I spent a fortune on 50-pound dumbbells. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so that was tough. The fact that the box, I don't know, they made a big deal about the boxes being like a specific rogue box with the specific measurements, and then in the end, it seemed like you were able to use whatever.
Yeah.
Which was a big gripe of mine in the beginning, because I had a 24-inch box built at home, but it wasn't to specs the other directions, and I'm like, great, I can't use this, and it turned out you could. But
yeah,
again, communication, and so I'm sure if they do it again, it'll be more well ironed out. And again, I think they had the best of it.
right. That's just kind of what it felt like to me. I loved the concept of it, where you're testing different aspects of the OCR athlete. It wasn't a totally OCR in the end. There was just a lot of kinks I think they needed to work out. It'll be, if they do it again, I think they had a really good learning experience. Ooh, I think I lost my video. They had a really good learning experience from that one.
All right. And then, you know what? So all in all, pretty good. It could have been better, but it was good. But since we're talking about Hunter's thing, we might as well stay on the Hunter bandwagon here. We'll go back quickly to High Rocks. Hunter won the High Rocks Championship this year, and I would say not only deservedly so, but almost seemingly easily. Like that event is, I'm pretty sure they looked at him and saw what he could do, and then tailor made the event around him. It's his skills.
High Rocks?
Yeah, I know they didn't really, but just saying his skills.
Yeah.
Is so orientated to that event. I don't see anyone taking him on. Yeah, and actually next week we're gonna talk about that next week, about the High Rocks coming up in Dallas. That is not virtual.
Oh gosh, I
So
wish I could go so bad.
we are having a lot of FOMO.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh,
So
I even busted out the old sled.
so we'll talk about that next week. But
Yeah, okay.
so with still on the Hunter train, we just want to say congrats on the win there and Lauren Weeks. Lauren Weeks was amazing. 2020.
Oh, that was so exciting.
We'll go back to that in a sec too. Spartan Games, because you can't talk about Hunter without talking about Spartan Games. Okay, and episode 1. I mean, you might walk us through it there.
Oh, it just kind of made me cringe a little bit. After I watched the first one, I was almost not sure I wanted to keep going if it was just going to be about ridiculous drama. I was really excited to watch the different athletes from different disciplines compete in something all together for 4 days. But I just thought it was just, I don't know, it didn't look good on either one of the Hunter or Aaron, what they did. I don't know.
No,
Didn't
no,
like it.
the whole bucket gate was stupid. And you know what? I was the same with you. After the first episode, I mean, I was looking forward to seeing this. The whole idea of Spartan Cross to me is I that's something I need in my life. That is a fantastic event.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
When do we get to do that? But when they spent so much time on the stupid drama, I was like, oh, don't
Yeah.
turn this into, Spartan Love Island. Like I just
Yeah. Well, I guess that was my biggest frustration with it. Like I know stuff that happens in sport, but didn't even show any of the women's race, and they spent the whole time about that drama. Like
and
this is supposed to be promoting the sport in some way, isn't it?
yeah, and in the women's race too, you're talking about a 30-second difference between Corinna and Lindsay at the front of the race, like
Yeah,
battling
even less,
back
I
and
think. I
forth.
don't know. Yeah, that would have been so exciting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely, like that. And so, but to Spartan's credit, the next episode, they like went in, dealt with the whole bucket thing in like 30 seconds, and then
Yeah.
boom, gone. We're
Never
moving.
talked about it again.
And that was great. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, awesome. And they went
Good,
back into
yeah.
it. And they seemed to get better as each episode went on, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I did end up really I really enjoyed it after that. They did a much better job actually showcasing the events.
Yeah. I think I actually would have liked them to spend more time on some of the athletes, just pointing out who they are, like, because there was a few that barely got mentioned at all. And by the fact that I can't remember their names is showing
Yeah.
that they could have used more time. Even again, Lauren Weeks, who got a little bit of time, but she won an
Well,
event.
all of a sudden she's third and you
Yeah.
hardly saw her throughout the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
And she always did well, except in the swimming event. She talked in the swimming one, but
because she won.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They couldn't not talk to her there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there was, I believe, a woman whose last name was Wood, and I don't even know her first name, and I have no idea what she did the whole time.
Madeline?
Maybe, but this is
Yeah.
my point. It would have been nice for them to spend a little more time just on the intro. I don't want an American Ninja Warrior sob story. Just
Right.
a little intro, a little more time on them, and that would have been good. But we're nitpicking because they did get better. One of the events, though, two events I had problems with, and in reality, they should be two events that I would like because they would more suit someone like me. The Highland Games, the stone throw, actually, I thought that was good. Great, simple, easy, not easy, but simple and a good event. The Kaiser hammer, the Kaiser sled, where they hammered with the sled. That's a good event. Unfortunately, how did anybody do?
No clue.
No clue. Not a single time from that. Haven't the foggiest idea.
No.
And that would have been nice to see. The problem I had during the Highland Games part was the tug of war.
Yeah.
Too much of a random draw.
Well, I don't know if it's one of those things too where it's not really skill. It's not even necessarily athleticism. It's, well, you have to hold the rope and like there's a bit of technique maybe, but it's just, if you're really small, you're doomed.
I think you would have kicked Faith's ass.
Oh, yeah.
You got her.
She probably would have slingshot me across the farm.
Bethany is slowly exiting the Earth's atmosphere. maintained a slight orbit.
No, she was
No,
really sweet. She'd probably be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry."
oh, was that your spine? I apologize. No, she was super sweet and super kind, and I think this really has brought her to light, which has been one of the very good things from Spartan Games. She seems like such a cool person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was random, and I mean, I mentioned this to some of the guys that actually work at Spartan. It's too much luck of the draw to be put into an event like this with this kind of money at stake.
Hmm.
Now, if if I was race director for this, I would have removed the tug of war and I would have replaced it with something like a tractor pull, where they hook up to a harness and they each have a certain distance to pull the tractor. Because then it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
it's the same kind of feeling, same kind
Right.
of muscular endurance needed, but no
But
bad
it's
luck of
not.
the draw.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I like that.
I'm full of good ideas. So that
Nobody
one,
might be asking, but you have them.
exactly, the purveyor of unsolicited opinions. That was right? Purveyor of unsolicited opinions, correct? That's what it is. That one, and then the wrestling. I come from a combat sport background. I competed in judo. I taught for years. I'm like, I love this. This is fantastic. But
Yeah.
again, if you're not going to do a round robin format where everybody faces everybody, you're too much luck of the draw, and
Right.
that doesn't, in my mind, that shouldn't belong in something where that much cash is on the line, and you're trying to prove who the fittest athletes, and you're leaving it up to a flip of the coin.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
a bit.
I'm glad in that though they did. It was just if your hand touches, your knee touches, that's it. So it didn't get, no one was gonna get hurt. When I saw it, I was like, oh, someone's gonna get hurt, someone's gonna break an ankle. It's almost a guarantee. But when they made it that rule, I was like, okay, I'll probably be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think they did that. I've no problem with the way they executed the rules.
Hmm.
Had that Olympic wrestler there, a guy giving everybody tips
Yeah.
and pointers. They, like you said, they did it very safely. They almost did a version of sumo wrestling, essentially.
Oh, okay. I,
And
I'm not up with my sumo wrestling.
oh, geez, I can't believe you've fallen behind on that. That was actually next week's topic. No, so yeah, I had no problem with that. What did you think of the DECA events?
um, well, I really like that style of workout.
Mhm.
Um, the but they did deca mile and they did deca heavy,
No,
right?
they didn't do the mile. It was just DECA strong, so there was no running involved in that one.
Didn't
So
they do two deca events?
they did DECA strong and then DECA heavy.
Oh, okay.
So
So
the
okay.
DECA strong is what you're thinking of. They just never ran the mile with it. They just did the 10
Oh,
events
okay.
as they're prescribed on a regular DECA event without any running there.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. So it's kind of okay. It's a hybrid.
Yeah, yeah. It's essentially the one they do in all the gyms when they go on their gym tours and whatnot. So
Oh, okay. Right, right.
anyway, what would you think of those ones?
I really like that. I think that's perfect for what you're looking at with
Mhm.
this type of event. That's exactly what. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I know a lot of people are kind of people have slagged DECA a bit just because of tough launch in 2020. They were going to do the big launch, and then everything shut down, and
I think also because it came right after the rise of High Rocks.
it was a bit of a hey, me too. Like they jumped on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yancey has admitted he was working with the High Rocks people, and then they kind of went in different, just kind of team up, and then the deal kind of
Yeah.
went in different directions. So like, okay, well, let's do our thing.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that because that's how tons of businesses start.
That's what obstacle course racing is too.
Exactly.
It's
Yes.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got no problem with that. I'm perfectly willing. I'm excited to try a DECA event. I liked the DECA heavy as well. I thought that was kind of cool. It was a different spin. Um, not a lot of people, like some of the girls, had trouble with the deadlifts.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't like
I
the
think the weight is manageable though, I think for most athletes, women. I think it more so they're afraid of hurting themselves. I think because they did it after they run, you're super fatigued.
yeah. This
So
is
I
the
think
fourth
I
day.
don't think any of the girls couldn't have not done it if they were fresh.
Yeah. Now, yeah, I think the deadlift too was okay. I would like to have seen something in its place though, even if it was more the heavy stones or whatever, because deadlift is just so it's another judge thing where people get no rep. I think Ryan got no rep 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
and maybe he deserved it, maybe he didn't. I don't know, but I think in these type of events, you want to put out an exercise or a movement that involves the least amount of judgment.
Right.
So that's where
Yeah.
I liked the balls, putting the balls over the wall. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Who cares how
It's
you look?
over.
Who
It's
cares
not.
about your
Yeah.
form? It's just point A to point B. I think they
Mhm.
probably could have, and maybe they rushed the thought process on this, but I think they could have come up with a different thing there. And, maybe it is as simple as another heavy stone lift, or something along that lines. Maybe a keg throw over a bar. Who knows? Something along the lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just my opinion. I thought it was a good event though.
Yeah. I
Um,
did too.
and to point out my judging flaw, did you see Faith's last chin up?
Oh, there was a lot of chin-ups
Yeah.
that I saw that were not, I'm not sure if their chin was getting over the bar at all.
No, like her last one, she even looked back and went, "Really?" Like
Oh.
she was like 5 inches under the bar. I'm like, there's no way. It was like a pity rep, and she does not need a pity rep.
No, no.
So
Huh.
again, that goes back to the judgment things. I know it can be done better. so
Yeah.
so all in all, though, what was your take on the whole thing? Overall view of the fact, like the televised event, how it all went.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. Again, it's the kind of event that I would love to participate in. Like 4 days of different types of competitions. That just sounds so fun. I think some of the events were just not really, I don't know if they were the best idea. Even a 6 hour run, I think it's just over a 4 day competition. I think it's a bit much. And also the way that they did the scoring. So you had to do, you could drop out after so many laps. So, but in order to win it, you're running for 6 hours. So if there's a difference of fatigue of hours of running, it sets you back on events that are after that. So, yeah. And it was the same thing with the swim. You could drop out after a lap and a half or something.
Well, it was supposed to be 2 laps, but Kurt dropped out after a lap and a half.
Oh, so they changed the rules. So he
Of
didn't
course,
get. Yeah.
the rules are
There's
all
stuff like
vague. These
that
ones
where,
mean nothing.
yeah.
So, and this is a situation in Spartan Games where a perfect situation where, and I mean, Jack Bauer has brought this up tons of times, the percentage-based system comes into place. So, for example, if they swam 10 laps and Kurt says, I'm only doing 1.5, well, his points are going to be based on that 1.5 laps, which
hmm
means, they're going to get rewarded for finishing it all, right? They're going to get rewarded for doing more of it.
Right.
And
So it stops people from dropping out at minimum.
yeah,
That's something they're
exactly.
not good at.
Exactly, because if let's say he did, or even the runs better. Let's say he does 5 miles and Atkins does 50, right? Well, every mile he gets in is going to get him more points, right? So even if
Right.
he just keeps walking for the rest of the 5 hours, it's going to
Right.
benefit him, right? So that's where, I mean, that point percentage based system I think is so much more appropriate to an event like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So all in all, I thought it was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It definitely was must see TV for me.
hmm
I don't know if they'll do it again. If they have a full season, I think it'd be very hard for the competitors to fit their time in.
Yeah, and I'm sure that weekend took a lot out of athletes. It's not an event that you just turn around and you're racing 2 weeks later.
No, that was
So,
insane amount of output and effort level,
yeah.
and it was great. So I don't know that, like I said, I don't know if they'll have it again. I hope they see it again. You know, open it up to old guys like me. I'll go give it a try. So it's just you said you love to do it. How do you think you would have done?
Oh, I don't think I would have done well. I'm smaller than any person that was there. No, that's not true. Um,
Who was smaller than you?
um,
Mike Wardian?
I'm not sure. Maybe not.
I think maybe Mike Wardian would be the only one. No,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
know.
Yeah, I don't think I would have done that well. There were some things that were just like I'm strong, but I think there's just things that are just so size based that would have just been frustrating. Like I was saying with like the tug of war and the wrestling, like I'm just small. Like so there's just I couldn't stand against some of those girls, and even no matter how strong I am, it just wouldn't matter. So
No, no, no.
yeah, I
No,
think I would
like,
have done okay,
mhm. You would have
but
given it your all anyway.
yeah. I think it would have been a blast, but I wasn't someone who was going to win an event.
No, but well, and like you say, I mean, you actually are close to half the size of Faith.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I think she was in at about 181, something like that.
Yeah, so she has 80 pounds on me. That's almost another human.
It's just you and another 90%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, but even just like the staying overnight, like you really do get to bond with people, and I think that's a really unique experience in sport. Um, so I just think that would have been really cool.
Yeah, and it did bring another thing brought to light or helped bring to light from that is Lauren Weeks. And I
Yeah.
think Lauren Weeks is the person who has capitalized the most on 2020.
She's won 2020 for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, she's definitely the winner of 2020.
Yeah.
And wow, and you know what? I had heard of her before, through because I remember her as a competitor on TMX,
Yeah.
and but wow, she's just shot to the forefront, and I think she's gonna reap the rewards this year.
Yeah. I raced her in High Rocks in Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she won that one, didn't she?
No, Faye did.
Faye.
Faye, Rebecca, and Lauren, I think, were on the podium. Yeah, she was really nice. I remember she was running with me, and not many girls can run at my pace on a flat. Not girls like OCR girls on a flat. And I was like, wow, this girl can run.
And she's
And she's really strong.
so she ran with you, but you didn't do the wall balls with her, right?
Oh no, I was probably half an hour after. I was still pulling my sled.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up 2020, and we're
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to 2021 and hopefully a little more stuff. We have seen that Spartan has scheduled a U.S. National Series. There is the Canadian Series is scheduled as well.
Yeah.
We'll see if it all happens. Fingers crossed that it will. Like we said, we're going to talk about next week about High Rocks coming up in Dallas in just a week or so, and that's very exciting. Other than that, I think we're what we'd like everybody to do, if you can, is we're going to leave you guys with a workout, a bit of a challenge for this week, and we're actually doing it through a Facebook group that I'm a moderator for called the OCR Tribe, and all the workout is you can go there and check it out. But it's 50 burpees, 50 squats, 50 crunches, and 50 lunges. If you guys want to give it a try, let us know how it goes. It'd be great. Our Instagram page will be up. Our Facebook page is going to be up. And yeah, we'll be available everywhere we want. So, Bethany, anything else for today?
No, that's great.
All right. Thanks, everybody out there, and have a great one.